Okay, so good morning everyone again. So today we'll see how to do flavoring in iOS and Android both, and we'll also add Firebase just to make it something more just more than the flavoring, because flavoring maybe comes in a picture when there is a backend or something that the environment needs to be separated from the mobile app itself. So let's understand. So let's understand the concept of flavoring. Basically, why do we use a flavoring and why it's a need of to begin with and start having flavoring within that. So just to break down and make it simple, what is flavoring? Flavoring is creating an environment. So what is the environment? Environment is having a development, production, and all of it separated, so that like the production credentials will not be shared with the dev one. Okay, but again that, like, for in front end, if you are exposing anything to the production, it's again not going to be helpful. So flavoring in the front end side always means just to separate the environment. It doesn't secure or protect anything, as it's already been exposed to the end user production credentials. But still, there are some aspects which we need to keep separate. For example, a configuration for the Firebase needs to be different for the development environment and the production environment. Also, a endpoint for our basically endpoint of the backend server has to be different. Production has to be different, and development has to be different. So those all things can be kept separately with this flavoring. Okay, so we'll go one by one and understand what is what like how we can make like flavoring happen in iOS and Android both. So just to prerequisite and just to begin with, I'll say we need to just create one Firebase Flutter project. So I just created one Flutter project. I kept the package name as com.ringcasper.flavor. You can find it here. So it is the name of the package which I created. Okay. So just to begin and understand the concept behind it. So how flavor is going to make things different is basically we'll have a two different application. If you run with the one command, it will run in the development mode, and if you run with the different command, it will run into the production mode. This is all the basic logic and basic outcome we are going to see out of this. Okay. So just to start, let me start with creating two packages. So one package will be this, the one which will be production, and one will be for the dev. So accordingly, we'll need to have a Firebase projects ready for it. So I'm not going to dig dive and like me go through how we can configure the Firebase. I'll quickly do that. Okay. So yeah, let me start with the development one. So I'm starting with the Android and we'll end up with the iOS. Okay. So for the development one, so I'm creating com.creamcasper.flavor.dev, because the dev is the suffix which will differentiate between the production and the dev. Okay. So and here is our file for Google configuration. So yeah. So for that, in the Android, into the app, into the SRC, we'll need to create a dev. Uh, file folder name dev and folder name production. Okay. So basically, we'll keep the dev file in the dev folder and production file in the production folder. So I'll just download this file. So here we have it. This is the dev one, so I'll keep it inside the dev one, and I'll now download for the production one as well. These all things has to be done singly. We don't have to specify into environment, because the build griddle and all of other things will be in the same room. So let me just do that. It's a one-time steps. So as per the steps, it's going to be in the project level. So project level, inside the repositories, we need to make sure we have this added as a Google, and Maven is also added, and also class path we need to add here. Okay, and yeah, this is all done. Okay, so let's go to the app level build grid. So within that, we need to add this. Okay, we need to add this service file within the plugin, and just under this. So, yeah. So I think it's from the newer version of Android, but yeah, like do it how we do it regularly. So it will just reside within it, and of course, like implementation into the platforms. So yeah, you need to have this dependency. So we are all set to work with the development environment. So let me just bring the production file as well. One second. Let me bring the production file as well. So for that, I'll just go into the second project. It is set to have a production environment. So I'll just create the one file for it. I'll use the package name same, just without extension of .dev. Good. You can keep the name as, um, although it's optional. Okay. Remove the older file. I'm just downloading the production file, JSON file. Okay. And I'll put it into the production folder. Here. Okay. So far what we have done is we have copied a production and as well as dev file within the respective folder for us to flavor. Okay. So and also we configured this basic steps which we need to do in order to do the flavoring. Class path, maven file, with added a build gradle with the old fashioned way, and that's it. Okay. So now next step. So some of the code we need, which we need to write in order to flavor. So I have copied some of the code, so it will save us our time. But I'll explain each and everything what I'm writing and what it means and all. Okay. So basically, like flavor dimensions, we need to keep default, whatever default Android is preferring us to do, and then like product flavor. So one of the flavor was the dev, and another one is a production. So production does not have any extension to it, like a suffix. So we don't have to provide the application ID suffix as we are providing it to dev. We can create a staging. We can even create any other flavor you want to. There are some cases where we have to clear the staging and some other flavors in case we just need to separate the database to it. Okay. And this is the app name. So whatever app name you need to have after building the app, you can define it here. So I'll say flavor dev to this one, and I'll keep flavor to this the basic one. So this will distinguish the name. But yeah, we need to mark up this name within the app.main builder. So here, if you can see, it is just like, we have just putting it in the static. So instead of this, we need to use this a variable. So this is nothing but a resource variable, which we create with this flavoring. So we can have, like, for example, if you have a separate key for Google Maps or anything other than that, we can keep it here and we can easily map it with the string. So to map it within anywhere into the file, we need to use string and then the name of that respective field. I'll show you. So @ string, and the app name was the field name, so it's the app name. So yeah, so that's all we need to make sure that flavoring will happen. So first, let me just run this app into two different flavors, and then we will see how can we customize and make the Flutter level changes in order to make the Flutter level environment setup. So just to begin with, the command to run it is going to be Flutter run, then file name basically. We generally don't do it because we don't have many files, but I'm just keeping it as a practice because we'll be having the main underscore dart, main underscore production, or main dot dart, just to start and change the origin of the files. Okay. So let me just pull up first, some emulator. I hope there is no query or anything as such at this point. If you do, please ask me. Okay, so our simulator is now up and running. So to run, this is the command. So what's the command? Flutter run. Then minus t implies the change in the file. So which file we need to use? Then we'll be using flavor and then dev. That means we need to run this in the dev environment. Okay. Then let's see how it works. While it is getting run. So just to add, like for the iOS as well, we need to follow the similar steps as we are doing for the Android. We'll also get the Firebase files from the like iOS from the Firebase, and for the production and dev, and we'll also make the folders and structuring similar to this. So it will be kind of correlates, and it will be easy for us to migrate if you are new to the iOS. Okay. So the app is very simple right now. So this is in the first environment which I have run it. So name of the app is Flavor Dev. So I'll just run one more window and I'll run another app. Call it Flutter run minus t live, then main card, then minus minus flavor, and our flavor is going to be now production. Correct. So let me run and I'll show you how we have successfully created a two applications rather than having it only one. So now the Firebase properties and everything will be two-way. Like it's not going to be a single one. So yeah, let it get run. Okay. So here we have results. So as you can see, two applications has been created from this. The first one was dev and like flavor.dev and flavor.production. So we have successfully created a two flavors. Okay. So now it comes to the very interesting part. We're not going to change anything. We'll just have a different name for the different app. So for the dev one, we'll have here dev, and for the production one, we'll have here the production. So just to keep it simple, you can go crazy and like do any customization you want to do that. Okay. So let me just cut the both the apps. Okay. Then this is going to be our main.dart. Okay. And then one more file will be added, which will be main underscore dev dot dart. Okay. Okay. And then one more file will be there just to we can do everything separate, but ideally we should meet at one point. So that one point will be app.dart. So within that app.dart, we'll have one method which will initialize our app depending on upon whatever flavor we are calling it from. So app init, let's call it a app init method. Okay. So app init basically makes sure that uh, whichever flavor we comes from will initialize at the same point. Okay. So let me get this whole code here within the app file. Okay. We are good with it. Now, just to, as I said, we can, do lots of things, but just to make it simple, I'll just start and use a simple class, which will be using just to separate app configs differently. Like for example, we are going to create one class which will hold our app configuration. So for that, I have already prepared that class for us. I'll explain it. So name of the file is going to be app config. So yeah, let me just pull up that class as well. Okay. We won't be needing this much, but yeah, let's keep the name of the flavor and the app title. Okay. So as you know, integrated widget is kind of a state management. which is similar to the provider. It does the similar kind of stuff, but we are not going to deep dive into it. We are just going to use as a wrapper, which will wrap our child from the respective environment, whether it is a production or the dev. So yeah, so let's begin and create one. Okay. So inside our app, like app.init method, we will have app configuration, input it from whichever environment we want to call it from. Let me show you how it's going to be done. Okay. So as it's showing an error, so we don't want it here. Okay, but rather in this file. Okay. So basically, this file will trigger our uh, separation. Basically, this file will make sure that we are going to from any environment, from either from the development or production, we are going to meet at one point, and it will start the app for us. Okay. Okay. So let me start and write a little bit code which will do this for us. So let me have a common config. Basically, common config is nothing but app config. Okay, which will use whatever we are passing from the flavoring side. I'll explain it. Hold on for a second, and then build flavor, and then child, of course, is going to be our my app. Okay, so here we have it. And then this particular thing will go into our app. Okay, so we have accomplished everything that needs to be done in a common format. Let's see what we need to do in order to make the flavoring happen. So, just to put it simple, we don't have to do anything much more than just calling that app initialization function, and we'll call it flavor production, and the other one will be what is the flavor we are using, production, and we can call it none. As we say, so we can call it like simple container. Anyways, we are not going to use it within our common file. Okay. So similarly, whatever we have done it here, we need to copy and have it into dev and change it to dev and dev. Okay. So now we have two files, basically one for a development, one for the production, and based upon those files, we'll be doing actual separation of the logic. And of course, like if we are as we are using Firebase, so I need to add the Firebase dependency. I think I did forgot to add it. We need to add the Firebase core, so we can initialize the Firebase within our app. Okay. So this method will make sure that we'll initialize the Firebase. Uh, Similarly from here, rigid binding. Okay. So yeah. So what we have done is like we are now like separating the flavors based on the dev and production. If you have anybody is having any doubts, please do ask. Okay. So let me just pull up one line. So just as you know, like before we initialize the Firebase, we need to make sure that all of the initialization needs to be done has been done beforehand. So I'm just writing that line. Okay. So let me come back and run the file again. So let me run it in the dev first. Okay. So now for the dev, what needs to be changes, as you must have noticed. So now we have a separate file for the dev. So we'll run flutter run -t, then the file name, and then respective flavor. So we have a dev flavor. So when we run with this command, we'll get the dev flavoring. If we run with the other command, we'll get the production family flavoring, not natively only, but also from the leaf level as well. So we'll see how it's going to be done. It's taking a bit of a time because we did not include the Firebase extension before or dependency. So it will take a bit time. Okay. So here we have it. Okay. So let me just show you from here how we can get this flavor name. You can use anything, but I'm using a basic as we can. So I'll use app config of cut text. Then I'll use a flavor name. Let me just run it. Okay, this is a material title, so it will be here, but I will need to have it on our app here. See, as you can see, we have dev written onto it because we are using the dev flavor. Let me run this app similarly without changing anything and have it run in a production environment. Let's see if we get this production written over or not. If it does, then we have successfully created a product flavors different. And then I'll show you how whether we have successfully achieved the separation of the Firebase project or not by just simply displaying it. So we'll see that. See, we have production and dev separated. So this was a flavoring for Android. So now let me just get this application, whichever is going to be uh, initialized from here, and then display its app ID, and we'll see whether we have the correct one in the correct environment. Okay, so here we are ready again. So let me do it for the dev one first. So we have this one as an ID. Let me do this for the other one. So let's see and actually test whether we have it correctly done. So don't worry, as it's like like as we are running it simultaneously. That's why. But as we know, this is for the dev one and this is for the production. Let's just compare. Yeah. So as you can see, the two AB is for the production one as we are getting. So we have successfully completed the part where we have to flavor Android. So now the little bit tricky part, but it's not going to be that difficult. And I think most requested part would be how we can do the flavoring in iOS, because Android is typically simple when it comes to do anything. Okay. So just to begin with, we'll open this iOS folder into export. So from this onward, we'll do the iOS setup for the flavoring. Let's follow the similar pattern. We'll first get the required files which we need to do the flavoring, and then we'll do the build level kind of a setup. We call it schema here. Then we'll see what are the steps we need to take further. Okay. So let me start by creating one group. So listen, like see, like we are creating a group with folder. So make sure that you do the same. So name it like flavors. Okay. And within this flavors, we can call it another group, let's say dev, and then a production. We'll create one more. So we now have this dev and production, correct? So we need the info file to also be separated. So I'll just open this file here. I'll just copy it somewhere else because otherwise it's a tip. It won't copy it actually. If you are in the same reference, we need to make sure that copy item is needed is checked and create a group is also checked. So let me finish it up and similar thing for the dev one. Okay. So now again, I'm going to the VS Code and seeing whether we have file copied. Okay. So just make sure we have successfully copied, not just reference. Sometimes we still even saying true, sometimes it will not copy. Okay. Then now again for the name, we'll change it to display name. We'll change it to dev here as we want to have a separate dev for dev and production for production. Now I just close the simulator because we're no longer going to need that. Okay. Now let me just bring and create iOS files. So yeah, create new app. Let's start with the production one. So package name is com.dreamcasper.flavor. Just let me just inform it once just to avoid any challenges. This is all good. And we don't need any of it. So similarly, we download the file for info playlist. I hope I'm still audible. Okay. Then within the production, as it is a production file, I'll copy this playlist file into here. Again, make sure that copy is checked. Also, we need to copy the production file on the runner. I'll explain it when we'll write the script for this. But yeah, just consider that when we are copying the production, we're copying it for here as well as in the production folder itself. So let me again create another environment for development. I mean the app for the development. Yep. It's save. We remove the older file, otherwise it will be one. So we have a file downloaded again. So let me just pull it again into the dev one. Okay, so copying file part is same and we have done it here. So now what we need to do is so in Xcode, you have UI for everything. So it's very simple when it comes to understand and remember the steps. But yeah, you need to have a little bit of practice to do that. So go to the manage schemas, go and here you can say duplicate schema and make sure to select the share and then close it. Will and just name the schema as dev. One second. And go to the manage schemas again. So I have one more schema, copy from the runner itself. Let's call it production. Okay. Check share. Okay. So we have successfully created a schema. So as we have done a separation of the extension, like for example, .dev needs to be appended. Similar thing has to be done here. So go to the runner, then go to the app, go to the project runner. Then you can see configurations here. Within this configuration, click on the plus, make the duplicates for everything. Okay. So for example, debug dash dev. So release. So again, debug for production. We can't use the original ones. So yeah. And then again, release dash dev. Then again release as production. Cool. Then again call profile as well. If you want to keep the profile separate, dev and profile dot product. Okay. So we have created our separate configurations. Now go to the target, go to the info. One second. Yeah, go to the build settings and basic, or you can say all, and you can find identifier. So that's okay. So product bundle identifier. So here we whatever configurations we did here, we need to provide the respective extensions to it. For example, for this one, it will be dev. For profiling, it will be so for why we are doing it three times because the build will be in the different kind of environment. Now it's now when I'm talking to environment, I mean the modes basically, the release mode, profile mode, and the debug mode. So that's why. Okay. So we have successfully updated the bundle identifiers as well. Okay. So now the most interesting part is to create our own script. So let's call it a okay. So let's call it a runner script we need to download and let's call flavor setup. Okay. We need to make sure that flavor setup goes above this compile resources because we need to do this script before compiling even the resource. Okay. So as you can see, we have so many files here. So we don't need this file. We need one instance of a file. Plist file doesn't need to be a copy as a bundle resource. So we'll need to remove all the info.plist file, whichever has been added here. And then again, as I mentioned, we need to have one Google dot service. So we'll keep the original one, which will be at the runner, and we'll remove this dev and the production one, which we get created. We are just removing the reference of copying. We are not actually removing them. So within the script, okay, I have already created one script. I'll explain what that script means. So just a sequence script for the shell. So it's not that difficult to understand. So as you can see, with what we are doing is when the debug production is there, we are going to copy flavor production info file and Google service.info file to our main runner file. So this is the script does. Similarly for the dev as well. So nothing too complicated. The script you will be getting within the link of the file, link of this particular video session. Okay, so we are all set to it. Just final step is there, which is updating the schemas. So within the dev, for the wherever debug, if you are in dev, so select the dev there. So I'll select profiling, dev profiling, analyzing. Here also dev, and the release as well will be dev. Okay. So similarly, I'll do it for the production one as well. So release production, analyze, debug in production mode. Similarly, profiling in the production mode. Good. We have accomplished all of it. So let me just run. Similar thing will have like need to be done because there is nothing we are changing as such in terms of like flavoring part. Okay. Let's hope we are not messed where anywhere like yeah. This is a generic issue. Second. Board install PDIs or whereas I have M1, so I need to have a separate command for install M1. You don't have to worry if you are using some other machine. So it needs a minimum version. It's at some higher version. Okay. So some pod issue is coming in. So just to make it simple, I'll just remove the Firebase for now because it will not cause any problem to us to explain the flavoring. Let's see whether our flavoring goes successfully. So let me run it again. So steps will not be changed for Firebase. You can simply counter the issues. It's always comes when it comes to, but we'll try to solve this problem on the this session itself. But just to see our result, I'm just commenting that part for now. Okay. So now you can see the dev one is also running. Now let me run it and see it in the production ones. Just to confirm, our flavoring is successfully done, and we have successfully have a two separate app rather than having one. Yes, hi. Yeah, you are saying something. Okay, you don't have to worry. We'll provide the video link. So yeah, so you will get it on email if that works. Does that work? Okay, we'll provide you the video link for that. Okay. Yeah, see, we have successfully have two running app, dev one and production one. So yeah, we have completed the main part or agenda of it, which was to have a separate flavoring. So let me just spend a little bit and understand what might have went wrong. If we can fix it, would be fantastic. Just so I can show you, we have successfully created flavoring Firebase as well. Let me see if there is anything I'm missing in the steps. Okay, let me just run it again. So says outdated. Okay. So I think it's due to some recent update from the Xcode. So with the new environment. But as far as like the steps goes, you will have the same steps. And with the repo which I'll be providing, I'll just comment out the I'll just have remove the file for the Google Info and JSON file. You can have your own JSON and info files and add it there, and you can try it on yourself, your own. And yeah, that's all for the today. And hope you like the session and understand how we can do the flavoring for iOS and Android. Okay,
Now,
thank you.
I think Evan want to ask something.
Yeah, please, please.
Yes, Evan.
Yeah, you can type in.
You missed the Android part, I think.
Yeah, I think I answered to that, but I think it's actually something else. But yeah, let's try.
Still, we are going to upload this video on YouTube, so you can
Yeah.
check it later on. Right on, you will find us page Dream Casper LLP on YouTube. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anything else? No?